Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be having a look at how we can create connections within assemblies in ANSYS. So what I have is a assembly step file, so I'm going to add that geometry into ANSYS Workbench. I'm going to go import geometry, browse, and if we have a look here I've got two parts. They're in an assembly in Creo and I save the assembly as a step file, so that means I'll have two individual parts in this step file and they will be obviously positioned how they're positioned in this assembly. So I'm just going to open this and then we're going to read this in to mechanical. Okay, so you can see that I've got my assembly in mechanical, and if I go to geometry here we've got two parts. So we've got part 1, which I'm just going to rename as back plates. Okay, and then we've got part 2, which I'm going to rename as bracket. Okay, now we're just going to add some material assignment to these. So we can go here, structural steel, structural steel. Okay, so if we have a look at this assembly, we can see how it would really be connected in real life. We would bolt these two faces together. So it's not really necessary for us to model those bolts, they just add complexity. And so in reality, these two, the back face of this part and the front face of the back plate, are going to be in contact with each other. So what we can do is, if we have a look at connections in here, contacts, you'll see that it says contact region here. So what happens is ANSYS, when you import an assembly, will automatically try and scope out any connected surfaces. So if we have a look at this, we can see here we've got this new display open. So the contact body, so it's on the back plate, so that whole face, and then if we rotate this around we can see that our target body is here and we've got these two blue faces. So it's actually scoped it out really well and we could feasibly use this. However, sometimes when you import your geometry it might not do a very good job, so we're going to go through the process of actually how we add them manually. So I'm going to click on this and press delete, so we can delete that object. So that connection's finished. And so if I click on contacts, right click, I can go insert and then manual contact region, and you can see here it's asking me for a contact. So I'm going to click on this back face here, click apply, and then target. So now I need to basically find the face that I want. So if I click on this face here, I can go through this little cycle to try and find the face that I'm interested in. So yeah, just here you can see I've picked up the right face now, and actually it's really useful within these windows. You can actually pick up on the geometry you want and it will filter out the other components, so it'd be quite difficult for me to pick up the other face using this screen. But if I just press Ctrl and click there, I can select both of those faces, press apply. You'll see now we've got the back plate and the bracket faces all correctly selected. And if we want to control the type of connection, we can do that in here. So definition type. So bonded is the default within ANSYS. However, there's a few others. So we've got no separation, frictionless, rough, frictional. So depending on the type of contact that you want between your bodies, you would select them. I'm just going to choose bonded. Okay, now what we can do is add some more detail into our analysis. So we can mesh. Okay, so we've got a nice mesh now being produced, and we can just add some boundary conditions. Okay, so if I go on static structure, we'll go insert and we'll fix the back plate. Okay, and we'll add a force onto the front here. It might not be the most representative of what would happen, but this is just an example. So we'll insert a force, we'll just click on that face there, apply, and we'll do it in the we'll do it, sorry, no, I want to click here, I want to go components, and then we're going to go in Z, we'll go minus 100. Okay, and then obviously we can select some solutions. So I've already got total deformation and equivalent stress here, so I'm just going to solve. So we'll just do this to check that our connections are right. So if we have a look at the total deformation, we can see that those two faces are obviously clearly bonded together as there's no movement there. Okay, all the movement's happening in the bracket, which is what we'd expect. And again, we can see the stress is raised where almost around where we would expect that to happen. Okay, so that's basically how we can connect our components within assemblies using ANSYS.